Welcome to episode 18 of the tutorial series Livewire 3 from scratch. My name is William Juma. In this episode, we will build a calculator app using Livewire 3. Remember, we have not been able to look at all the concepts that we wanted to look at in Livewire 3. We will continue with all the others up until we finish. But as I promised, I was also to take you through real-world applications whereby we can be able to build things and sort of get a little bit comfortable working with Livewire 3. So let us go ahead and create a component. I'm going to run php artisan make Livewire. The name of our component, I'm going to call it calculator, like that. Now you hit enter. Of course, it's going to create for us two files. One of them will be a Livewire class, and the other one will be the Livewire blade component in this case. I also would like to ensure that we are running our application as a full page component, and so what I would like to do is to create a route, and here the route will be calculator, and the method or the class will be calculator, the class that we have just created right now. I hope we have typed in correctly. Then up here I will also import the calculator class, so we can also type calculator like that. I will save, and of course I want to check if our component is loading, so I will go to our app here and just add calculator. So localhost 8000 / calculator, and now we are actually displaying something here. And so I would like to go ahead and copy a card from Bootstrap, sort of to just give an outline to our calculator. So I'd like to scroll up until almost the end where we have this card here. I will copy it, and then we will open our calculator component and paste it in there. So here, calculator.blade, and inside here, instead of what we are having here, I would like to replace everything entirely with our card. And I would like to, inside the card class, I would like to give an offset of 3 and a column of 6, just to make the card not to span the whole page. So if I'm to refresh, we have our card here. Of course, for the title, let me call it calculator, like that. And then we can go ahead and now work on the table. So inside the body, I would like to remove everything that we have here, and now I would like to replace it with a table. So I will copy a Bootstrap table. I have opened it here. So this first table is what we are going to use. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to just paste the table inside here and save. So basically, when you look at it, what is going to happen is that we have our table with how many columns? 4 columns and several rows there. Now I want to go ahead and be able to do something on our table, and so what I'm going to do, we are going to have, for each of these inputs, I'm going to replace them with numbers and buttons. And the first thing I want to do is to do away with our table header. So in this case, the table head, inside the table head, I would like to delete the table rows. Let us refresh and see how it looks like. I guess that is okay. So now let us go ahead and be able to have buttons inside all these fields, or inside all these cells that we have here. So I would like to have, for the first cell, inside our table body, so for the first cell here where we are having a row of 1, that is the one that I want to target and be able to put some content here. I would like to remove the scope such that all the table heads, or in other words the table data, will have a similar look. And inside here, what I want to do, I want us to have a button, and in this case we can have it having number 7, like that. And then we can close the button that way. I will give it a class of btn secondary, and see how our button looks like. So I will refresh, and actually we are having it looking like that. And for this one, probably I will change and then begin. This one is the one that I will have it as 7. So for this one, let us have it as SC. I do not know if it's usually SC or C, the one that we use to reset the inputs in our calculator. So let me just type in SC. And then once we refresh, that is what we have. But I would like this button to span sort of the whole of that area of sort of the cell. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap it in a div. And so what we are going to have is we will wrap our button inside a div with a class of d grid and a gap of 2, like that. I will close this div, and then we will also close our button, our div, like that. So that way. So when I refresh, as you can see, the button is displaying a little bit nicer. So let us go ahead and work on all the other inputs. So in this case, for the first table row, and then I will copy everything that we have here. I will copy all this and then come and paste inside our next table data. So inside here, we are going to paste exactly what we have on the other one, and this one I'm going to just have it to, maybe we can have the decimal point. So I'll just put a full stop here and save. So when we refresh, also that one is displaying nicely. Then I also want to copy and paste for the backspace. Obviously you can be able to go and get the icons, and maybe they'll be able to display better. And here what I want to do, I want to have, maybe we can have that arrow. I do not know if it's going to spoil things. Maybe let me just attach something to it, so you'll have it like that. And then also for that one, displaying nicely, yeah. And then lastly, here I can be able to put our signs. So the first one that I want to begin with is multiplication sign. That is the one that you go on that last table data before we begin those others. So I will paste this one here, and this I want to change the class to primary, such that it will look a little bit different. And what we are going to have here is the multiplication sign. So inside here, I'm just going to type in X. After that, if we refresh, it's also displaying nicely. Let me work on this row. And on that row, I'm going to paste maybe all of them and then check later. So I'll just copy what we have here again. I'm going to copy. I will remove this scope. And inside here, I'm going to paste our button, and I'm going to change this to secondary. We go back to what we were having initially. And what I want to have here is the number 7. 7. We will do the next one for number 8. Number 8 here. Number 8. And then the next one for number 9. Number 9. And then lastly, I want this one to be the division sign. So I'm going to just paste inside this table data. And what we are going to have is the class of primary. I want the signs at least to have different look, and here I guess we will have to look for the division symbol. Maybe we can just search it and copy it somewhere. Division symbol, because on the calculator we usually use the /. But of course, even on the back end, I will not use this symbol. We just use the / to just sort of like make our video a little bit smaller. So when I go back to our page and refresh, now you can see we have 7, 8, 9 and division. Then we go to the next one. I think this one you're going to have 4, 5, 6, and then maybe subtraction. So let us go to the next row. So here we will remove the scope, and inside here I'm going to paste. Let me copy the one above, because these ones are the ones that we are working with a little bit more. And so here, what I want us to do is to paste here that one, and now the number we are going to have now is 4. Next we will have 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to remove this column span, because it will be able to cover it. If we leave it, it will cover 2 rows. So we have 4, 5, and then I want this one to be 6. We're going to paste this one also inside here. This is going to be 6. And because of the column span, we are going to add one more table data. So table data, and then here we are going now to have our sign. So in this case, we can say subtract, and then just change this to primary, like that. So if I'm to refresh again, you can see now we have 4, 5, 6. And now what we need is just another column for 1, 2, 3, and maybe some additional. So let us go on and just copy the whole of this table row. The whole of this table row from here. From here we are going to copy everything in the table row. We will copy and paste everything down here, and then what we are going to do is now modify, because the other one we started with 4, 5, 6. Now this one is supposed to be 1, and then 2, and then 3, like that. And then of course This one, I would also want it to be a sign. We can have it as an addition sign. When we save, if we are to check again, it's perfect. It looks nice. Then let us go in and do our last row. So for our last row, I think we are remaining with 0 and an equal sign. So we are going to just have a table row with 2 table data. So table row like that, and then 2 values of table data. So table data, and then that one and another one, table data, like that. And then of course inside here, one of them is going to be 0. So I will copy this and paste inside here, and then we are going to call it 0, and still I want it to be btn secondary, such that it will look like the others. And then of course I will copy the same and then paste here. And since our table has 4 columns, for these equal signs, so this one I want it to be equal sign with btn primary. And what I want us to do here, I want us to give it a column span. So in this case, inside the table data, we can give it column span. Let me give it 3 and save, such that it will span at least 3 columns. When we refresh, now it looks like this. I believe this is not bad looking for a calculator. Above here, I want us to put an input, so where the values will be displayed when we type them in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll upwards up until before the table, immediately before the table. And what I want to do is to have an input. So inside card body, let me have input type. Let us have it as text. Reason being, we will be typing in the numbers, and we will also be having the equal signs. But of course, we will not be typing manually, so I will disable it. So in type text, then we can say class form control, like that. Then we can close our input. Then of course I will remember to just disable it, because we will not be typing in the values. We will only be clicking on these buttons and give them functionality and be able to continue like that. Now we have our input sort of, and it is not disabled. Yes, I have mistyped, so it should be disabled like that. Once we have it that way, now you can see you cannot be able to type in, but now it will be picking the values from our backend. So inside our input, I would like to attach wire model, and then what I'm going to attach here, we are going to call it expression, like that. So obviously, because you have been able to follow other tutorials, you know that now we need to also, inside our Livewire class, we need to declare that we have a property called expression. So here we are going to have public expression. And I would like to, by default, set it to 0. And now if we are to refresh our calculator application, now we have a value there that is being displayed. And I think that is nice. Of course, the calculator will always go back to 0. I would like to give functionality to some of these buttons. For example, this one, the AC one that resets. Even if we have typed in something here, it will reset our our inputs back to our initial value. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a method here which I'm going to call public function reset calc, like that. I'm just going to have it like that. So we are going to have a method called reset calc, and this one we're just going to just call this reset. You remember when we were working with the forms, we were able to reset every property to the default value by just calling this reset. And then of course I'm going to copy this method, and inside our table where we have AC, where we have the button, I'm going to have wire click to listen to the click handler. And then of course the method that we are going to call here is reset calc. So now if we have every other thing and we have something that has been typed, if we click here, it's supposed to reset our value to 0. So let me go ahead and give functionality to every other of the numbers. Let me first of all work with the numbers, and then we will be able to also work with the signs. I would like to, before we do, maybe we can do it procedurally. So let us work on this one. Should we work on it right now? We can leave it for now. Let me work on the numbers first. So the first number that we can be able to meet here is called number 7. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to have wire click, and then we are going to have a method. But I want to have the same method for all the numbers. So here I'm going to just say digit. So we will create a method in our backend called digit, and then we will pass in the current digit that we are working with. So in this case, our digit is 7. So I have passed 7 here. And so I will go ahead and create a method inside our Livewire class. So below reset calculator, I'm going to create another method that we are going to call public function digit, like that. And inside here, what I want to do is just to check if there is any digit that is being passed. So here I will pass a variable digit, because there's something that once we click, we are passing from the front end, in this case our Livewire application, into this sort of backend. And what I want to do, I want to dd digit and see if actually our number 7 is being passed. I will refresh our application and attempt to click 7, and now you can see actually 7 is being passed to the backend. So that is very encouraging, because now my work is very easy. I'm going to copy this and attach it to any other place where we're having a number. So the next one is 8. So I will paste this one here and change here to 8. I will scroll downwards and paste to number 9 and change it to 9, like that. Obviously this one is a division sign. I'm going to skip it and go to only where we have the numbers. I will paste here and change it to number 4, because that is the number that is being displayed. Then I will paste for this one and change to number 5, and then I will continue downwards and paste for number 6 and have it as number 6. Then scroll downwards, further downwards, and paste for number 1 and write that the value is actually 1. And then also the same for number 2 and write that the value is 2. And then also for number 3 and write that the value is 3. We will also go on and paste for the value 0, and we will also write 0, because 0 will also be picked as a digit. Now I want us to go ahead and handle some things afterwards. We also need to have values for the symbols. I would like also the decimal to be handled as a digit, so I'm going to copy this. We will handle the decimal also as a digit, so let me just scroll upwards up until where we have the decimal point. Where do we have it? Where do we have it? Yes, here. And also include it as a digit. And here, what I'm going to do, I will pass it in as sort of like a string, like that. Otherwise, it will not be able to be passed in as a number. So that is that. I now want to work with symbols. And what we are going to do, we are going to call them sign. So I'm going to have a similar thing, but then now we will call them sign. So basically, let me begin from the first one above here. So obviously we have reset calc, we have taken care of it. And then we also have this one, which we are having as backspace. That one, I think we are going to handle it in a different way. So let us just handle it as backspace. So here I want to have wire click, and then the method is backspace because it's just for deletion. So we will have it like that. Of course, we need to create a method here that is called backspace. So public function backspace, like that, and save it. And now I will be able to give functionality to it in due time. But first of all, let us finish with symbols. It seems I'm having an error because I'm attempting to refresh and it seems it's having issues. But let me just continue with what I was doing. I will check if there's an error. I want us to now work on the symbols. I think the symbols, we begin with this first one, which is multiplication. So I'm going to have wire click and give it a method that is called sign, like that. And then inside here, I will be able to pass the sign. And in this case, what I want to do, I want to pass the sign that is usually passed when we are doing mathematical operations. So I will not pass X, I'm going to pass star for multiplication. So that's what we are going to have there. Now I'm going to copy this and be able to work on every of the other signs. So basically the next one I think is division, and programmatically division is usually /. So basically I'll have it like that. And then I will move downwards to another symbol, which is subtraction. Subtraction, this one we just usually have it, the subtraction sign. I will scroll downwards and then we will go to addition. So I will paste the same thing here, and then we will have the addition sign like that. And then I think the last one is equal sign, and this one I would like to give it its own method. So I'm going to have I'm going to paste that wire click, and then let me just call it execute or something of that sort, execute. So once we click on this one, then it will go ahead and compile our operations. I think that is good enough, whatever it is that we have in the front end here. I would like to go to our Livewire class and be able to do a few things. Remember, we are passing here digit. There is also a place where we were passing signs, so we will need a method called sign. So sign like that, and inside here we are passing sign. And of course, if we want to check it, we can check sign. And then of course we need one more method which will be executing our operations. So what I'm going to copy this one and paste it down here, which we are going to call execute like that. So now I want us to go ahead and see if we can be able to give functionality to whatever buttons that we have been able to create. Of course, the reset one, we have been able to handle it, and there is nothing else that we will do about it. So this one, we have it figured out. I want us to work with the one for digit. And here I can be able to just say that because we have a property called expression, we can be able to just add this digit to the expression. So in this case, what I want to do, we can be able to say, we can be able to check for two scenarios. So let me have an if function here. I'm going to check if the expression is equivalent to 0. So this expression is equals to 0. And then we will be able to do some operation here. Else, if it is not equals to 0, then I want us to do something else. But the expression we are referring to is this one here, where we have set its value to 0. So obviously when the form has been reset, we will be executing this first method, and then when we have something that has already been typed, we will be executing something else. So here we can be able to, if the expression is 0, can be able to set this expression is equals to the digit. So in this case, if somebody has typed in the first digit, and then if the digits are more than what we are having, then we can be able to say this expression and then we can concatenate. We can set it to a new value, so we can call the old expression. So in this case, we can say this expression, that is the old value, and then concatenate our digit like that. So let us check it out and see what happens. So now if we refresh and we click on 7, it's typed. We click on 8, it's typed. We click on 9, it is typed. And we continue. Even if we click 5 times on this one, even on a 0. So in other words, all our buttons are functioning. When I click on the backspace, currently it's doing nothing because probably we have not been able to handle it. And then when we click on SC, this one, it is resetting everything to 0, and that is what we wanted it to actually do. I would like to go ahead and handle the sign, because now we can be able to also, on top of whatever it is that we are passing in, we can also be able to pass in the sign. So in this case, we can just say, in a simple way, we can say this expression is equal to the old expression. So this expression and then we concatenate the sign like that. So let us try and see. Of course, it has issues. I will modify after I explain why we might end up with problems. So if we type a number and another one and another one, and then we type division, and then multiplication, and then addition, of course you can see it's typing all of them. What this will do is that if you you come and click execute, once we have been able to make the app functional, you will have an error, because now what exactly are we doing actually? So we need to handle that problem, and for us to be able to handle that problem, what we are going to do is we are going to check the end of our expression. So in this case, we are going to use the string helper, and let me just go ahead and import it here. So what we will do, we will say use illuminate. This is just Laravel. Use illuminate support, and then str for string, and save it. Once we have it like this, then we can be able to use the string helper. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to just check a function here. I'm going to say if inside the brackets str double full colon, and then we are going to check for the end of a string. So we can say ends with, like that, and we want to check what is it that it is ending with. So let us pass in our string. So our string is this expression. So if it ends with this array of values, we want to check if already there is something like this, a division that has already been placed. We want to refuse to add another symbol on top of another one. So what we are going to do, we are going to put a list of all the operators that we are working with. So in this case, the next one we can have is a plus, and then we can have minus, and then we can have division. Already I have put division. Multiplication will be the star, and then I also want, if you have the sort of this one that we are calling the decimal point. So if you have the decimal point, I don't want us to have a scenario where we are putting 2 decimal points on a number. So even that one, I don't want it. So then if those conditions, if you find that there's anything of that sort, then what I want to do is to replace that initial symbol that we have with the new one that has been typed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set a new value of expression. So this expression will be given by, we are going still to use the string helper, and now we want to replace. So substr replace. I hope I have typed it in the proper way. Substr replace, so substring replace, and then here we are going to pass in this expression, so the initial expression, like that, and then we are going to pass now the sign that has been passed in, the new sign, and then we are just replacing the last value. So we are checking the string and we are replacing the last value. In this case, what we mean is that if we have it like this, we are only replacing this forward slash. Of course, now it will not be able to type for us all the others. So we are replacing it with a newly typed value. And then, of course, if that is not the case, then we can be able to work with this previous method that we had. So I can copy this, and I can come and maybe copy the whole of it. I can even cut it and come and paste it inside here. Then once we have it like that, I need to close this one because I'm having an error. So once we close it like that, I want to try and see if our application is functioning properly or if we have an error. So once we have it like that, I want to have a number like I had, and then click multiplication, and then click division. Now you can see it is replacing. Even if I click another sign, it is replacing the one that I have. So basically, we are actually having an expression, and we can be able to add something else. 89 minus 65 divide by 4, something of that sort, and then we can continue like that. So basically, that one is working fine. I want to give functionality to this backspace. That is the next thing I want us to do. And so I would like to go to our method where we're having the backspace. And now inside this backspace, we are also going to check. I want us to check if the length of the string is greater than 1, because already you find our initial value is 0. So I want to check if it is more than that. That means somebody would have typed something else. So here I'm going to check if string length, I'm typing my own things now. This is embarrassing. Length, yes, like that. And then we are checking the length of the expression. So again, this expression like that. And we are checking if it is greater than 1. So if that is the case, then let us handle something inside here. Then what we are going to do, we are going to say this expression like that, or we will set a new expression, and we are going to again replace the last value. In this case, we are going to remove the last value, and we can have subst. In fact, we can be able to do it in a similar fashion. Let me just copy what we have down here where we had this expression here. So what I'm going to have is copy the whole of what we have here, exactly the way it is, and then I will do a little bit of modification, just something small. So what I'm going to do, again, we are replacing the last value, but we are not replacing it with sign, we are replacing it with an empty array. So in other words, we are actually removing it. I mean an empty value, so we are actually removing it. So I would like to save this. And as usual, for us to be able to test it, we will have to refresh. So once I have refreshed, if I type in something, and because now this one will be greater than only 1 digit, now you can see we are able to remove those digits up until the end. But of course, now you can see we are ending at 0. That is not what I want us to do. I mean, we are ending at empty. We are actually removing even the 0 that we set as our initial value. That is not what I want us to do. So we can be able to handle else. So if this is not true, because now you can see we have gone beyond greater than 1. So if that is the case, then I want us to just reset expression. So what I can do, I can say this, no, this, reset, and then inside here we can pass that we only want to reset expression, the property expression, like that. So once we have it like that, basically if we are to test again, now you will find the problem that we had is no longer an issue. So let me type in something here like that. When I go to delete, if I reach the last digit, which is a 7, when I delete, now it's being reset to, it is not being reset to a 0. Did I refresh, or what did I do? I think, let me see. Probably I did not refresh this page, or maybe save. So I think I have saved. So let me refresh again and check. So if we click here, it resets, and then if we type in some things like that, then we go and do deletion. Again, it's not working. I do not understand why. Try again. And do deletion. Again, oh, now it is resetting to our 0. So if we delete when there is no other value, it is resetting to 0. I think that is good enough. I think that we have been able to handle every other method with an exception of execute. And what I want us to do when we are executing, I want us to handle several things. But before we do that, let me just do an execution and show you some of the things that can be able to cause our application to break. So if we want to execute, what we can do, we can modify the expression. We can just say this expression is given by, we can be able to use the PHP evaluate, and then inside here can be able to pass in our expression. So what I'm going to do, we will have double quotation marks, and I'm going to return this expression like that. And once we do it like this, it's supposed to work. But of course, there are scenarios where that our application will actually break. And I would like us to check those scenarios before we are able to finish. So if I write 78 plus 23, and then we say equals to, as you can see, we are having 1, I believe is the correct answer, I'm not sure. Then we can be able to reset. If we have 10 plus 10, we will have 20. That's nice. And then we can say 20 by 5. What will it give us? 100. Nice. Divide by 5. What will it give us? 20 minus 10. What is it going to give us? 10. And also, if we want to have a long expression, so 78 plus 32 plus 69 divided by 2 plus 8 plus 99, and we attempt to perform. As you can see, it's still working. And so for every of the operations that we are having, of course, everything is working nicely. 909 times 96, it's giving us that value. There is a scenario that I said will cause us problems. If we say 7 divided by a value like 0, of course, mathematically, this one does not have an answer because it will give us a very big value. that will return undefined. So if I click equal signs, we must get an error. We must get an error. Yes, and it's saying division by 0. And that is the only thing that I want to handle. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to sort of like modify what we are having here. So I'm going to check for several things. And also, the other scenario, before we continue, let me just show you another scenario where this thing will not work. And obviously, probably even when you also think about it, you might be able to find others which I've not been able to cover. So if you have 78 and then you say divide by, and then you come and hit the equal signs, now you are talking about your own things, because you have not been able to add another value where now our application can be able to execute. So let us handle those two scenarios. And what we are going to do, we are going to have an if function, and we are going to check the expression, again, the similar expression that we had here. So string ends with this one. This one is what I want to pick. Actually, all of it like that. And that is what I'm going to paste in this function here. So that is one scenario handled. And for me, I do not want to return the error inside the calculator, because I wouldn't want to go into that, because it would make my video a little bit longer. So I will just spit out a session message. So session flash, and inside here we can have a status, and then we can say operation not allowed, invalid. We can say operation invalid, like that. And then on top of that, we can be able to handle another scenario, the scenario of division by 0. And here we can be able to just check if our string contains a specific string. So here we can say if the string, we invoke the string helper, and we can say contains, and what our string is this expression. And then if it contains something like this, divide and then 0, like that. Because every other scenario I think will be handled perfectly, but this one for division by 0, it will bring us problems. So let me copy the status that we are having here, and I will paste here. Then we can just say division by 0, division by 0 is undefined, like that. And I think it's a very nice way of saying it, because you're also saying what the value of that answer is. And then we can say else we can now execute our expression, this one that we'll be able to now do our calculation. And by doing this, I think we will be safe. Obviously, instead of using if, else, if, some people don't like these if functions, you can be able to use match, you can be able to use any other function that you choose. I would like us to, inside our blade, be able to handle the errors, or in other words, the flash messaging. So above here is where I would like to have our flash message, I think above the input. So here we can be able to have at if session, and if session has a status, like that, then we can end the if, and if And inside here, I would like us to have a div with a class of btn, with a class of alert danger, because actually what we are talking about is something that can potentially create an error in our application. So this one, maybe we can give it that. And then inside here, we can be able to split our session message. So session status, like that, and save. Now, when we refresh, if we are able to have the same challenge, we post the same challenge to our application, we will be able to see that it will be able to handle it nicely. So I say 7 divided by 0, and I click equal sign, then it says division by 0 is undefined. And of course, we had the other scenario where we were saying when somebody types a number and then they type a sign and then they say equals, again it says operation invalid. And also, I think also when somebody types a value and then has the full stop, in this case the decimal, and then they say is equals to, again it will tell them operation invalid, because we have been able to handle that scenario. This is the end of the tutorial episode. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. By doing this, you'll be notified when I upload another awesome video. If you like the video, you can give it a thumbs up. You can also share. You are also welcome to engage in the comment section. Thank you.